Coach A, thanks for joining me today on this Simple Coach to Coach interview season 2024 review, I guess we would call it. Glad we were able to finally do this. Really do appreciate it. And actually, I'm really excited for this because you've been on my radar for quite some time since our last conversation when you were just got there pretty much. And I am one of the things I like to see is the progression of coaches. So you were definitely progressing as we were talking about. But thanks for doing this.
Hi, I appreciate Paul. Excited to chat today.
Hey, without me opining, without me commenting, I want to hear from you. If someone in an elevator that has to go like 200 stories, so you can go on for as long as you want. Tell me how you evaluate or how you think your season went.
Yeah, it's a great question. I could probably keep going and going and going, but so sometimes I think in analogies, it was kind of, I think of it as a boiling point for the program, and we've collectively put in a ton of work over the last 4 years. And yeah, sometimes when the results aren't matching like the work, right, it could be a bit frustrating. But as we know, yeah, wash pot doesn't boil, and there's like a lot going on under the surface of the water before it hits 212. And I think it was a season marked with, yeah, the culture in the group was really strong. It was a very connected team, a very together team. We had the opportunity to go to Costa Rica over the summer on tour, which really helped accelerate kind of that connection within the group. And then we got into the beginning of the season, and preseason felt very good. Just kind of had that spidey sense, instinct that like, okay, this group has these attributes and qualities to really be a competitive group in a competitive league. And then we went through this kind of frustrating period in the beginning where we felt our performances were strong. We're working hard, but maybe not getting the exact results. A lot of ties in that stage. And then, as we kind of turned the corner into the business end of the season, into October, we really hit a winning rhythm, and belief really built up in the group. And yeah, it was an opportunity to make history as a program. And I felt that we accomplished it. So incredibly proud of like the work the guys put in.
That's interesting you say that, because I would, again, just being on the outside, like I look at the start of the season until you actually get into conference, right? And I'm still thinking, well, you're still in this, right? Like, like I wouldn't get the sense that, and just score lines in a couple of the games that I watched, I would have thought that would have been your answer. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but was it the fact that you were, I mean, you had some ties and a couple losses, close, I think. Like, was that it, or or the results were just kind of like, look, it was more like what you were seeing on the field or experiencing in the locker room?
Yeah, it was this like interesting disjointment between like the performance levels and the chances we were creating and how we were attacking matches, and then the results of the matches, right? And so that was kind of like, yeah, I think like looking back on it, I think collectively we we felt some frustration because I think some matches, like competitive matches, and credit to the opponents, but we felt that we could have been on the right side of those. Ties could have been wins, and et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like I don't know. I throughout the season, I think I felt like a real sense of confidence and conviction in the group, the way we were working,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I felt like there'd be this kind of reversion to the mean,
Mm-hmm.
where if you play these matches enough times and you kind of have like the underlying performance level there, eventually it comes good, and you kind of hit a rhythm. And it was also, it was a young group. We had more leadership, really strong senior leadership, strong junior class, but we also had a lot of second year guys, first year guys playing, and then there's youth in terms of age, and then there's youth in terms of experience. So a lot of guys going into playoffs for the first time. Second time in the program history that we had been in playoffs,
Yeah.
and then it was such an amazing experience to go postseason, go into the ECAC, and just getting in the environment of, okay, you win the match, you keep playing, the season extends, or you lose the match and the season's over,
Yeah.
and kind of managing those type of matches, managing the pressure behind those matches. Um, so it was just a great year of growth, and from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, I felt we peaked at the right time as a program, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, figured some things out along the way.
Mm-hmm. That we'll get to the landmark final and the ECAC, which is just what a cool culmination to all of the work. I'll just say that. Like I just think, like I said, I think we spoke over 2 years ago, and you were just sort of in the middle, just getting sort of this stuff rolling, and it was still up in the air, right? Like I think, and here yet to whatever time frame later, you win the ECAC, which again, it's something to be really proud of. But uh, was there a turning point, right? Like you're confident in what you're seeing on the field or in training. Like this has got to materialize. It's got to materialize. Was there at any given point where you're just like, it's materializing and it's becoming what we think it can be, and then you just started rolling from there?
Yeah, I think for me it was interesting. I think that moment kind of came in a loss, right?
Mm-hmm.
We were playing away against Carnegie Mellon and ended up getting a red card towards the end of the first half. Started the match well, attacked the match against a very good Carnegie Mellon team,
Yeah.
and away from home, and yeah, got the red card. And then at halftime, I didn't feel off the group like a sense of dejection. I felt a sense of purpose and kind of solidarity that, okay, the match has changed, and now we're going to be in a lot of low block, and the match plan kind of goes out the window, and now, hey, we're going to grind, and we're going to be together in this. But then, yeah, the performance, how we adapted to playing down a man in real adversity, and yeah, we kept it 1-0 for a good amount of that match, and had some opportunities to kind of get the tie
Mm-hmm.
um, before conceding at the end. But after the match, it was like just a real sense of pride, and I think some earned confidence for the
Mm-hmm.
team going into. And I think we had York off the back of that, another very good team, and we went and attacked that match,
Mm-hmm.
um, and ended up getting a result there against a very accomplished team, and then from there that kind of prepared us for, okay, now we're into conference, and
Mm-hmm.
I think getting the first win in program history against Drew, the first match of the season, it was just like getting this giant massive gorilla off our backs, like psychologically. And
Is
um,
that true? Are you seriously like you've
yeah,
never had beaten Drew ever?
yeah, never had beaten Drew. So there was a number of for when I talked about making history. Yet we made some history, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
first win against Drew, first not just win against E-Town, first result against
Mm-hmm.
E-Town. So there are these kind of markers
Mm-hmm.
along the way that then fueled belief and
Mm-hmm.
fueled the ability to kind of keep going and then ultimately, yeah, like see how far we could go, like
Yeah, yeah,
try to compete at the absolute top of a very competitive league.
yeah,
Some great programs, amazing coaches.
yeah. Can I ask you what were your goals? Did you have sort of goals that you set out for the season before the season? Like were you like, hey, we think
Yeah,
we can win 15 games and win the landmark and right like or was it were you that were you was your thinking there or is it more like, hey, let's just let's see if we can qualify for the playoffs like
yeah, it's interesting. I think the the longer I'm in this seat, the more I've come to believe in, like, I don't know, outcome goals don't mean much to me,
right.
but we had like an overarching goal going into the season. It's like, hey, we want to be the best pressing team in the landmark,
Mm-hmm.
and it really fueled how we wanted to approach every training session, like because a lot goes into that. You have to be very coordinated.
Yeah,
You have to
yeah,
be able to press in different ways, different
yeah.
areas of the field. And that was a big overarching goal for us. And then along the lines of that, we were looking at like transition moments. Were
Mm-hmm.
we turning teams over in areas of the field that we wanted to? We were kind of tracking that, so we kind of set some goals around that. So a little bit more like process
Yeah,
oriented
yeah, yeah. And let
goals.
the results take care of themselves at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and um, but again, like you know, having been involved in, I'm thinking back as a player now, like 20 preseasons, right? You
Mm-hmm.
kind of develop the instinct of like, okay, like this feels pretty good
Yeah,
right now.
yeah,
This group's coming together well. We have the attributes in the team that we need. That if we blend together and we find balance,
yeah,
um, then uh, I had the belief that we could be successful.
yeah. All right, let's. So you right, your last game of the season's against Catholic, who you tie,
Hmm.
and then you play Scranton in the first round in the conference semis.
Yep.
What what at that point you're what was it? You were 10, 2 and 6, I think. Like at that point, you're going into the landmark. What's your thinking, and what's sort of the sense in the locker room as to like, wow, this we're we're getting there, right? Like it's there. It's you could see the especially the conference title, right? Because that just opens up a whole new avenue, right? And so, I'm just curious as to where your thinking was at that point.
Yeah, I think the thinking was, man, what an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
We get a home playoff match against Scranton again, second time in the playoffs in the program's history. This is an amazing opportunity, and with an amazing opportunity, like let's work as hard as possible, all of us.
Yeah.
So my focus immediately was scouting wise. There was the playing game, so it was actually scouting multiple opponents.
Mm-hmm.
um, so the focus then, like, it went back into the work, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we really dialed into the greatest of all cliches, which is like, hey, one match at a time.
Mhm.
Let's keep our focus very narrow. And so one match at a time from a coaching staff perspective is getting our training plans right. It's getting our match plan right. It's getting our communication over the course of those opportunities right. And then for the guys, it's like, okay, let's get into this exercise. Let's get into the next exercise. Let's string together good training sessions. And that's going to give us like our best opportunity in the match.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, and like again, I can't credit our senior captains enough that it wasn't me talking to them about, hey, we need to like stay level headed. These are the things that they were thinking about in the meetings, in our like weekly leadership meetings, in terms of like, what does the team need?
Mhm.
And yeah, I think they did an amazing job throughout the course of the season. Again, coming back to a truism, but yeah, just never being too high, never being too low.
Mhm.
Just the next thing in front of us is the most important thing.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, it kind of flowed from those guys.
Mhm.
The first years kind of took their cues from the leaders, and the culture was operating. That's what you want as a coach
Yeah.
in the culture. Um, because if everything's coming from you, it's not going to be effective. So
You're pulling at that point. Like if it's coming from you, I would say like you're pulling them with you, and
yeah,
that's you don't want to be there.
yeah. So them like yeah, them driving, like them
Yeah.
pushing them in, even though they hadn't played in a playoff match before, they had the temperament right to be successful. They had the mindset to be successful. Um, so yeah, I had the opportunity to play a great Scranton team, and
Mhm.
they are Coach Andy. You should get him on the show at some point. He's
Yeah.
I think like really expect some great things, and
Mhm.
they they're really built up the right way over the season. So that was an incredibly tough match, and then
Yeah.
Catholic was a really tough match. Great final, but yeah,
Yeah.
it was a tough
Tell
match.
tell me about the Catholic game. Here you are in the landmark conference final. When was the last time you guys were there?
2013. So
Yeah.
the only other time,
Yeah.
which was like a great era, a great
Yeah.
team. Uh, it's been amazing, kind of connecting with those alums
Mhm.
while being here. But yeah, it was a great match, and a lot of like learning to kind of come out of that match. I think, and,
Mhm.
as a coach, as a leader, like anything that happens or fails to happen, I view as like my responsibility. I think that my biggest takeaway from that match, the thing that I wish I had back as a coach, was like my halftime team talk. I don't think I had that completely dialed right to the moment,
Mhm.
where my focus was on the soccer piece,
Yeah.
but there's always this like underlying story of a match that's getting like written right.
Mhm.
And um, we went up 1-0, playing out of our minds, playing very well, executing our match plan, and then kind of a lapse of concentration moment, conceded a goal. And really, I think if I had that team talk back, I would spend 80% on it, like resetting
Yeah.
and kind of refocusing um, the guys, and then 20% on the soccer side of things.
Yeah. That's
But
interesting.
yeah, but I was really proud of the performance, and like again, credit to Connor over at Catholic. He's
Mhm.
doing an amazing job with the group. Um, but yeah, the like how we started the second half, we kind of started tentative. Started
Mhm.
It was the only time in the game, like a 15-minute period of the match, where I felt, oh, guys are like playing the occasion and not playing the match. And
Yeah,
as
yeah,
a
yeah.
result, we're like nervy and a
Yeah,
little
yeah, yeah. Oh my
like,
gosh, here we are in the final. It's
yeah,
1-1. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I totally get that.
yeah. And, but we kind of like grew into the second half. And again, um, and Catholic had a great moment at the end of the game to
Hmm.
win it. Like, nice combination in the wide channel,
Yeah, yeah,
great quality service, great aggressive run. Like, guy was marked and, man, powerful header to finish.
yeah,
So, yeah, credit to those guys.
yeah. They're I will say this about Catholic, and it's for the years that I've been watching. That's the one thing they do really well is, and almost down to a science, right? When they get the ball out wide, what do they do with the ball and get it into the dangerous spots? And they do that remarkably well, I think, as a team in general. This year and previous years. That's interesting that you talk about the halftime speech. I actually think about this a lot. And I look, I'm not your stature, right? Like I help local high school, and I say my thoughts and stuff like that, but I'm always very conscious of what am I trying to say? What am I trying to tap into, right? What's the most important thing I'm trying to tap into? Am I trying to tap into the game itself? Like, hey, your touches have to be better. Or is it more valuable to talk about, all right, forget that. Okay, let's get back to who we are. Don't worry about everything else. Let's just get back to who we are. Because there's nothing worse in a big moment if you don't hit that
Yeah,
right. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. And as coaches, we feel it, right? You
yeah,
feel it in the group. You feel it when you're speaking. Um, and I always come back to a simple question. It's, what does the team need?
yeah,
And then you do your best in the moment.
yeah,
You do your best in the moment of trying to parse out, okay, what does the team need on this occasion? Um, and and that's where the art of it is. It's, as coaches, it's what we're chasing, or that mastery of, and it's always eluding us in a way
yeah,
that we're continually trying to reach a place where we're getting those moments right, right,
yeah, yeah. Very
and
true. Yeah.
um, but yeah, I think, and it varies, right? Sometimes it's a complete like tactical
Yep.
a tactical issue, and
Yeah.
you need to make a tactical adjustment. That's your best time to do it. Sometimes, yeah, guys need a kick, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
guys are are just playing, a little complacent, and they need a jolt.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and other times, um, yeah, it's this opportunity to reset, an
Yeah.
opportunity, especially in moments where you start well. It's an
Yeah.
opportunity. Hey, let's reset.
Yeah.
And then I think the kind of final piece of it, you also have to be starting to like play the chess, right? Anticipate
Yeah. Yeah.
in a team talk. Okay, this is how the first half went. If I'm the other coach,
This is
what
what
am I
I'm
talking?
doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what am I
Yeah.
talking about to try to foresee and foreshadow
Yeah.
tactical changes in the match? But yeah, no, it's the art of it.
Yeah. That that's now my mind's going in like 15 different directions, right? Just because you have 10 minutes
Yeah,
to get it right. Like you have 10 minutes in a game. I just, to me, and I maybe this is wrong, but this is my thinking. Like really, you're coaching like when the game starts, you do everything to get your team to that place. Then it's up to the team, and you have 10 minutes of that 90 or whatever it ends up being 105 with no OTs. You have that 10-minute window to change the dynamic of what is going on, or double down on what the dynamic is. and it's such a valuable 10 minutes, and I'm always thinking about, man, what is that secret sauce to make sure that you nail it every
Yeah,
time? You know what I mean? Like, as
yeah,
weird as that is, as weird as that is.
yeah. It's yeah, and it's
And it's there's
yeah.
no formula. You know what I
No,
mean? You know,
there isn't. There
it's like
isn't.
your gut, what you see, sort of your sense. There's like all these different inputs, and you're just trying to make sense of it all. And like, is this real? Is this not real? Is this,
Yeah,
is the team up? Is the team down? Like, and you're trying to figure that all out. I just think it's a really interesting area of thought for me. Really,
yeah.
really.
100
Yeah,
percent. And
yeah,
it's as like a head coach, you need to take in be
yeah,
able to listen to understand.
yeah,
Your
yeah,
assistant coaches
yeah,
who great assistant coaches, they take away your blind spots, right?
yeah,
And um, as long as you stay open under pressure and can like intake
yeah,
information and
yeah,
um, no, it's yeah, again, it's one of those things that I think you just keep chasing
yeah,
throughout your
yeah,
career.
yeah.
But yeah,
Um, uh, was I got to believe after that game there was the obvious disappointment that you lost all that kind of stuff, but there was also probably part where you guys were like, man, I hope that you were like cognizant of the fact, like, look how far we've come. Not only in the 4 years, but if it's 2013 was the last, like, man, look at that, look at what we've accomplished. No,
yeah, yeah. I think in the immediate
yeah,
aftermath, right? Like there's a process of you got to lick the wounds, and you
yeah,
got to.
yeah, yeah,
And as a head coach, first you got to take care of your people. You got to take care
yeah,
of your team, and then you got to lick your own wounds
yeah.
away from it, right?
Yeah.
And then you got to reset.
Yeah.
And what was great is again we had that EC. I knew we weren't there, especially with the new kind of MPI. You kind of
Hmm.
know exactly where you are. So I knew we
Yeah.
weren't there for the NCAA tournament this year, but I think it, I, as a player, I had the opportunity to go win an ECAC championship as my
Hmm.
senior year and to finish my playing career on a win.
Hmm.
And I think that became the message that we have an opportunity to really attack this next thing.
Hmm.
Um, Opportunity for seniors to win something and bring a title back to the
Yeah.
program for the first time, and opportunity for the group to play in this pressure environment where
Yeah.
you win, you keep going, and you play over multiple weekends.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a deal. I'm a big
yeah,
fan of it. Like I don't take anything away from the ECAC tournament. I think it's fantastic
yeah,
for teams and players. All right.
yeah,
Um, can I ask you just mechanics wise? Yeah, I know the MPI thing is right. You're not there. You're going to get an at large. You kind of know whether you are or not. And if you didn't win the automatic qualifier, at that point, did you know that the ECAC was next up, or was that still being sorted out?
so yeah, you kind of submit your bid earlier.
Uh huh.
I was confident with our kind of profile that we would be
Yeah.
in,
Uh huh.
and so yeah, my mind immediately kind of went into it
Oh, okay. All right.
as
Yeah.
well, not immediately again.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
After like,
Yeah, after a
but
day
then
or so.
after the Sunday of like
Yeah.
moping around, and uh, then the mind shifted
Yeah.
to Monday morning,
Yeah,
and
yeah. So you do that beforehand? I'm again mechanic wise, like you submit that you want to participate in the ECAC if you don't get an automatic qualifier. Is that how that works?
yes,
Okay.
yes. So the AQs kind of go away from the pool, and
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, you submit. Normally, I think it's like sometime middle of October. You
Okay.
gotta get like a
Yeah,
submission.
yeah, yeah. Something.
Um, And yeah, and
And
then
are there qualifiers? Do they do? Is it anyone who submits a bid gets in, or is it also like, no, we're only going to take the best of the group, the top 10, whatever number of teams that make it?
yeah, there's criteria
Mm-hmm.
there. It's like I think it's similar to the old um, at large selection process.
Uh
You
huh.
know, like so strength and
Yeah.
schedule, kind of quality wins,
Yeah.
and I think the you have to have a winning record
Mm-hmm.
is kind of like that
Yeah. Yeah.
baseline filter.
Yeah. All right. So I got to ask you about the final. What was that? Now here you are, wounds. You've obviously shed all the issues, and here now you're in the ECAC final against Rutgers Newark. Do I?
Yep.
Yeah, Rutgers Newark, who've won it before.
Hmm.
Are right. Like Kevin East does a great job up there.
Yep.
Like what was the thinking in that game? Like I gotta believe you guys were jacked.
Yeah.
Again, like this time we're not going to let it get away from us, like the game against Catholic.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And you know, having that opportunity to
Mm-hmm.
play in two finals over the course of a
Yeah.
season, and yeah, hopefully take the lessons from the first one into the second one. And um, I think we did a good job when we came out really strong in that match, and when we were in kind of a good flow in the match, making that moment count, getting two goals, getting a cushion,
Mm-hmm.
still conceded a goal,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
I think, you know, as we kind of look into next year, it, it's kind of a thing that we're focused on
Mm-hmm.
is how do we kind of, especially on like a 2-0 lead, or you're up 1-0 in a tough match. How do you get yourself to halftime? How do you play through the different circumstances of a match the right way,
Yeah.
intelligently? How do you exhibit control in those moments? Um, but then, hey, regrouped at halftime, uh, and yeah, you know, learned. I think we were front foot in the second half, and then made some adjustments. Again, Coach East, fantastic coach. He made some adjustments. It put us under a bit, and then
Mm-hmm.
we had to make some adjustments. And yeah, ultimately got kind of that when the third goal happened.
Oh, that
You know,
must have been. Yeah.
that's like you can't be complacent, but
You feel it at
you
that point.
feel that you've done it, and now you
Yeah.
just got to see the match out. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was a great opportunity
Yeah.
for the guys to go through that. And,
Yeah. Yeah. I always say like I hate, and this is the again one of my theories. I always say you got to test those grounds and suffer your defeats before you get to the victories.
yeah,
You know, and I don't think people understand that or put enough weight into that, right? Like, the fact that you played a tight one against Catholic, there's a lot of lessons there that guys take away themselves, not that they're told or whatever, that they've internalized. Like, that's never happening again. And then 2 weeks later, here they are in another final and they're recollecting, right? And then it's like, okay, I'm going to play this way.
yeah,
Um, I think you have to go those. I think you have to suffer those defeats to get to those victories.
yeah, and yeah. A phrase that so I had the chance to work at Swarthmore with assistant coach Kieran Dalton, just a great staff. You know, obviously
Mm-hmm.
played for Eric
Yeah.
there and know him really well. Great staff, but Kieran has his uh, PhD in psychology, and
Mm-hmm.
he's really into kind of like sports psychology. And he had a phrase that I kind of stole from him and have
Mm-hmm.
taken into my own head coach career. But it's the gift of the enemy,
Yeah.
right? And
That
so
is awesome.
yeah, yeah. So the Monday we were off on Monday, but we did a team meeting, and the topic was okay. I'm going to propose something. Maybe you don't feel it right now, but I'm going to propose that match against Catholic was a gift.
Yeah.
and and each person had to reflect and kind of share, hey, what was the gift?
Yeah.
What was the gift for you individually? What is
Yeah.
the gift for the program moving forward? What's that gift that we could take with us into the next thing, and not just on the pitch,
Yeah.
but what's that gift that we could take forward into our day to day?
Yeah.
And yeah, and again, you got to go through a process to be able to like think like that and frame like that. But um, yeah, I do see it as an opportunity, right? And the guys, again, like, a credit to them, credit to like where the culture is. They embrace that,
Yeah.
and I think guys have things that they're going to take with them. Hopefully, it wasn't just into um, the next thing in the season. Hopefully, it's things that they could like
Yeah.
take
Yeah.
with them into off season, take with them into how they approach their academics,
Yeah.
take with them
Yeah.
go forward.
So just for the record, and since we're recording this, I just wrote down "gift of the enemy" that I'm totally making that my own, and I am so not giving credit to
No,
you or the.
oh, that's
I'm
that's
just
coaching. Yeah,
I came up my brilliant mind.
yeah, that's coaching.
I
Hey, I stole it from Kieran. And Kieran read a book, and he got the concept there. And
I'm
no,
totally
I think
making
so
my
much
own.
of my quote unquote best ideas are from others,
Yeah.
and it's like, yeah,
I'm not that good of a thinker, right? Like, yeah,
yeah,
I don't think that well, so I got to steal. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Since we're going down this path, because I find it really just okay. How do you feel, man? Like, seriously, I mean, in 4 years, you've done a remarkable job at Juniata. Like, and you played in two finals in 1 year, lost one, won another, right? And I mean, how's that feel for you and your staff? Like validation. I don't. Like, I'm curious. I'm curious.
Yeah, it's interesting, and yeah, part of like maturing in life is, I think my mind is always geared on like, okay, the next thing,
Yeah.
right? But we're gonna do our team banquet like right when the guys kind of get back
Mm-hmm.
for the semester, and I think that's just gonna be a great opportunity for all of us to collectively celebrate
Mm-hmm.
the work we put in and to honor the seniors, the legacy of leadership that they're leaving behind. Um, but then my mind does go to the
Yeah.
to all right, uh, how how do we improve? How do we get better? What are
Yeah.
the areas? Um, and I'm looking forward to it. I haven't done it. I try to like create space and try to create perspective off the back of a season.
Mm-hmm.
But you go through this analysis phase where from like match one of the season to the end of the season, going back through it and like breaking it down and trying to see it with new eyes, like
Yeah.
fresh eyes, um, to chart the path forward,
Mm-hmm.
over the course of, yeah, our out of season, our non-traditional season, whatever you
Yeah.
want to call it. And yeah, and I think that it's part of our culture. We talk about
Yeah.
passion not as an emotion or emotionality, but as this daily commitment to improve,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, this continual process. And so my mind goes there, and honestly, I feel responsibility, even more responsibility to push on, right? And um, I came to Juniata with a vision of, and like, yeah, great. Um, I was lucky that I got to inherit a team of like good people,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
a good like base to build, and credit to Dan who did a great job in the program before me. But the vision of why I came to Juniata was this opportunity not just to put together one very good team,
Mm-hmm.
one great team, but to build a program that could replicate
Mm-hmm.
year on year
Yeah. Yeah.
success.
Yeah.
And that's the immense challenge before us now.
Yeah.
I think that's the immense responsibility that I feel is um, to continue to build
Yeah.
and to continue to grow this and to set, again, like outcome goals, but like playing style goals. Can we build a team that can see out even more moments and circumstances of matches and be adaptable and a little bit more flexible and kind of our ability to cope with and respond to everything that our incredibly tough league is going to throw at us and
Mm-hmm.
everything, the matches that we have scheduled next year um, are going to throw at us and continue to build.
Mm-hmm. Th- That's I'm like for, I won't say why, but I've been really focused in on like celebrating the things you do accomplish because they often,
It's
and so it's
it's important.
hard.
It's
It's
important.
important, but it's hard to do, right? Like, because I'm
Yeah,
like you, like
yeah,
I'm literally like, hey, we won, great. What's the next thing? What's the
yeah,
next step? What's the
yeah.
next? I'm always on the next. I'm never sort of looking back, and I miss out on a lot of like reason to celebrate. And so I'm
Oh,
always curious.
yeah, no, 100%, and definitely, yeah. I think like that banquet we're gonna do right,
Yeah, 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 yeah,
and um, and yeah, if we've had opportunity to like,
yeah,
and you have the holidays, which is this
yeah,
amazing time where,
yeah,
which I appreciate more and more as you're
yeah.
going on in life.
And as your kids
Like,
get bigger, right? That's it.
yeah,
Yeah, it makes it easy. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, but now I'm of the mindset of the new year, right?
yeah, yeah,
And, so
yeah,
I did do some celebrating. I think I did do some honoring of it, but yeah, now in the new year,
yeah. You're
my
back
mind,
at
I'm
it.
like, okay, I'm gonna let my mind go back to like its natural
Yeah,
uh, default here,
yeah.
and
The
it's keep building, keep
yeah.
going.
Um, to that end, can I just ask you, like, have you noticed any change in recruiting? Like, you've had this success now. Like, is it easier? Never easy to recruit, but is it easier to get somebody's ear? And is it? Do you see people knocking on your door a little bit more? Um,
Yeah,
winning begets winning, right? And I think that's the while it's hard to do, like you got to capture it whenever you can. So I'm just curious about that. It's like people are like, "Hey, I can play. I'm a good player, and I can play for you."
yeah. No, I think yeah. There's definitely a bit of that, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm of the mindset wherever you are, whatever the success level you're at, I think, man, recruiting is always it's always a grind.
Yeah,
It's always, and it's you have to kind of, I think, to be really successful in this job, you kind of have to fall in love with it,
yeah,
right, and fall in love with the process of it,
yeah,
and trying to improve that process year in and year out. But yeah, so definitely some more kind of incoming fire emails.
yeah,
But yeah, I think it's because how we recruit, it's not just the soccer piece. We really try to hone in on the personality
mm-hmm.
of guys, and I think of it as like this three circle Venn diagram,
Mm-hmm.
right? And there's the soccer
Yeah,
circle. There's the personality type, and then there's the academic side of
yeah,
things, and the making sure that Juniata is just an amazing 40-year decision for the
yeah,
guys that we recruit. And there's plenty of talented soccer players, but that list narrows a lot when you
yeah,
put like the other kind of criteria on it.
yeah. Oh, totally, totally.
And but those are the best people
Yeah,
for the program, and so we work towards that. and it's a labor intensive process.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I'm lucky. Like I have great assistant coaches, and my assistant coach John Gonzalez he's a real grinder, and
Mm-hmm.
he loves the recruiting process as well.
Mm-hmm.
So um, yeah, I think that, and then as you go right, as you kind of progress up the mountain, it the player, like how you're doing evaluation, that kind of it
Mm-hmm.
tightens, and you're naturally becoming a little bit more selective in the
Yeah.
process, and
Yeah.
so then there's less players
Yeah.
that you're still trying to find,
Yeah.
that fit
Yeah.
everything that else that you're looking for.
Yeah.
um, so it kind of presents new challenges, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's interesting landscape right now. I think with kind of knock on from Division 1, and
Yeah.
you have to remain flexible, have to try to get a sense of how
Yeah.
things are moving, um, and not get stuck
Yeah.
in like one way of doing things,
Yeah.
right? And
It's a
um,
surefire way of declining results over time, right? If you're just stuck in the same.
yeah, and I feel there's this massive transition, and like
Mm-hmm.
my honest thing is I'm still grappling with like, okay, like Division 1 roster limits, like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
how's that gonna trickle down,
Yeah.
you know the the advancement of the portal,
Yeah.
and how does that fit into like our program, and our
Yeah.
beliefs, in our convictions around trying to build people up,
Yeah.
um, and trying to reconcile some of those things.
Yeah.
So I think so what's amazing about this job is it's never the same
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like gonna continually change.
Yeah. Couple more questions for you. One, can I ask, like, what, and because you mentioned it earlier, and I just got to thinking about it, I'm so quick witted. Like, I think of these things, usually takes me 20 minutes to process. The, the, you knew going into Catholic that the MPI was not, your MPI was not at a place where you would get an at large bid, which, fine. Are you looking at that? And now that you had the success you've had, are you starting to think like, hey, we have to start upping our game out of conference? Is that something that you're starting to look at?
Yeah, no, I think it's, even without MPI, it's a thing you're consistently evaluating.
Mm-hmm.
I always think about it. Okay, what's the right diet of matches
Yeah.
to really, first and foremost, what's the right diet of matches to prepare
Yeah.
us for what we're going to face in the land market?
Yeah.
And that's like playing styles you're looking at,
Yeah. Yeah.
like matches that replicate a future opponent.
Mm-hmm.
So you're thinking through those things, and then yeah, I think we've entered the stage now where the consideration of and you can't, I've seen overscheduling happen,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah. You
and
don't want to be 0 for 7 going into, or 0 for
yeah,
6 going into your conference, right?
yeah. So there's this like Goldilocks
Yeah.
scenario that you're chasing, and again, it's not scientific. It's
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
a little bit, but not.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's kind of feeling that out, and then ultimately, I think of it as like part of the experience. What would be cool matches for us, right?
Yeah.
What
Yeah. Yeah.
what matches? Yeah, and so definitely some more thoughts, kind of now that
Uh-huh.
we've entered this phase. But then, yeah, you're looking, yeah, and I'm a big, not too much, not too, just making
Yeah.
minor adjustments,
Yeah.
and continual minor
Yeah.
adjustments normally will kind of get you
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
If you
Without
graduate a lot,
without shocking the system, right?
yeah,
Without.
yeah, and naturally, I think even when you're sustaining success, like you're still going to cycle, right? Like you're
Yeah.
still, your seniors are going to graduate,
Yeah.
and other guys are going to be developing.
Yeah.
And so you'll kind of go through these periods. So hopefully working that way, um, yeah, I think of it as like kind of that long
Hmm.
term plan. But yeah, excited for the matches we have next year. Got my alma mater is going to be coming.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's great, and um,
That'll be a
we
good
got
match. That'll be a
a
good game.
couple UAA
Uh-huh.
opponents, and
Oh wow. Yeah.
um, so and just like like I think the matches we have strong matches that present different, like tactical
Hmm.
problems to solve,
Yeah.
which if you get those in and you get our guys exposed to those
Yeah.
things, then hopefully you could come up with solutions by the time you're in conference and you're facing it. And you could
Yeah.
call back to matches, and you could call
Yeah.
back to training, and you could call
Yeah.
back to what we've already experienced. And that
Yeah.
becomes really helpful
Yeah.
navigating, again, like the landmark. It's every match is
Yeah. Yeah.
competitive. Every match is a war. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And there's an influx of coaches, new coaches. There's a whole dynamic shift happening
yeah,
within the conference, which I just only think it's going to make it harder.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, like I
It's
hate to tell you that, but it's not
yeah,
getting any easier. But yeah, I do think if you look just coaching staffs alone, I think it's
yeah.
set itself up for it's just going to get harder and harder every year and to compete in the landmark.
100%. And it's what we sign up for. And
Yeah,
what I really appreciate about the landmark is there's just this, I don't know, good collegiality in the group. And I think it comes down to, if as coaches, if we don't have each other's backs, right? Like,
yeah,
but in as a new coach kind of coming into the league, like I got welcomed into the league in a great way. And I think the guys that have been in the league a long time, they just they just live the way to do it right.
yeah,
And um, yeah, and so like new coaches coming in, like yeah, great guys have been added to it, and it's funny. Like I went from being like the new coach to the
the
like,
veteran.
pretty quickly there. But yeah, it's been it's a good group of people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Lastly, last question for you, and I'll let you get on with your day. Um, what does your recruiting class look like for 2025? Are you done? Are you always looking for other guys? Is there? Yeah,
Yeah, I'm I'm like looking in the back, so it's like up on the board behind me. But yeah, there's
I'll blur it. Don't worry, it's all
yeah,
blurred. I'll blur it.
it's all
Keep top
good.
secret stuff. So,
We're so yeah, we have 7 guys committed. We are still working in a couple positions, so
hmm
I anticipate the final class will probably be in that 8 to 9
hmm
range. And yeah, exciting class. Like
yeah, yeah,
I think we've worked, again, based on how we do things, really labor intensive. Like thinking back to how many guys we have been in contact with
yeah,
is over the course of the cycle. And then,
yeah,
but really happy with the guys and their potential and their
hmm
personalities, and what they're gonna, not just, it's like sometimes you think of things as like fitting into the group. It's more like, what new things are these guys going to come in and like
yeah,
contribute, not just soccer wise, but in the locker room.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, I think we've done a good job, and we're still working. And then you're in this time period where you start straddling. You're finishing up this class, but
hmm
then you're working on 26, and even a little bit of like 27. And um, so, yeah, sometimes, you get to ask as coaches, like, oh, what do you do in this time period? And I'm like, oh, it's very, very busy.
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
and it's a,
It's easy. Come on, right? Like
yeah,
you do nothing in the off season. Come
yeah,
on.
yeah. So we're working hard right now
Yeah,
to kind of do that, and then looking forward, the guys will be coming back soon.
yeah.
So
I don't know. Um, I don't remember who said it, but there they basically commented along the lines of like, the best thing about the season is that like all that work that you've been doing for the 10 months or 9 months to get you to the season, you actually get to do the job that you're really hired to do, which is coach. he's like he's
yeah,
like that's why it's the best time of year, and then because they're everything else is just rinse and repeat work that you got to do, that if you don't put in that in, you're not going to be successful, right? So
yep.
um, um, Coach, thank you for this. This is fantastic. I just like talking to you. I think you bring a different, interesting perspective to things, and how thoughtful you are about the things around the game, and I really find that interesting, and it just taps into some thinking of my own that I always wonder, am I off on this? Do I? And so, anyhow, but I do want to thank you for that. I do appreciate it. Although I am going to put a strike against you because you didn't invite me to Costa Rica. I mean, what do I got to do, people? I haven't been invited on a trip yet. No, but thank you. I wish you all the success and enjoy the banquet that you're going to have
Great.
with your guys, and give them all my best. And I'll still be following. So
I appreciate it, and yeah, I appreciate what you do for the game.
thank you.
But yeah, thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah. Anytime, anytime. All right.
All right.
Thanks, Coach.
Hey, have a good one.
Yeah, you too.